In youth sports, we know that the more skills youngsters learn and develop and the more improvement they see in their abilities, the greater the chances they'll have a rewarding experience. And that same line of thinking applies to officiating youth sports as well. As an official, if you want to become more skilled and effective and perhaps even have your sights set on progressing to higher levels of play, you've got to be committed to improving at your craft. It's just like anything else. It takes practice, dedication, and hard work to see results. During the next few minutes, we're going to explore a variety of tools and approaches that you can utilize to take your skills to the next level. But first, it's important to accept the fact that it's impossible to get every single call right every single game, and that's okay. Ted Unkel explains.
I think refereeing is all about managing people. We're out here and we're managing personalities and we're managing emotions. In that being very personable with players on the field and even with the benches, that's extremely important. I think you have to have some humility in this. We were asked that we go out here, we make hundreds of decisions in a game, right? And that's blowing the whistle or not blowing the whistle. It's raising a flag or not raising a flag. They're all decisions. And we're not going to get everyone right. So you have to recognize that, that's the case. We're not perfect, and that's okay.
So what happens when you make a call that you know probably wasn't the right one? For starters, don't dwell on it. Otherwise, you're opening the door to even more problems, as Rich Rieker explains.
If you let that mistake or that missed pitch from the third inning bother you all the way through the game, I guarantee you're going to have difficulties with your confidence later in the game. As an umpire, you have to realize that that pitch or that play was history. Once you make the call and handle your situation, the next call is the most important call you'll ever have. And, umpires don't try to even up. There's no such thing as a makeup call, because when you go down that slippery slope, if you feel you missed one from one team, then you might, if you try to think you might favor something, it's a slippery slope and it never stops. So what we teach our umpires is make the call. It's independent of anything else you're going to do that game. Get in the best angle, get in the best position to see it, make it authoritatively, make it clearly, and move on.
And as you move on, never resort to makeup calls when you've made a mistake. Plus, as Ted Unkel points out here, every missed call does not define the game's outcome, so accept that you made a mistake and move on.
Yeah, no makeup calls. That'd be my first one. If we mess up and we mess up, then we got to move on and try to get the rest right. But don't try to make it up for something like that. It's one of those things that you have to be mentally strong, and you got to put it to the side. I think out of all the hundreds of decisions we make in a game, there's maybe 4 or 5 that are critical game decisions. You messed up on a throw-in, that's not one of them. All right, so there's varying levels of priority to the decisions we make, and if you can categorize that, it'll help.
You know what else will help you navigate the highs and lows? That's keeping in mind that there's always another game coming up on the schedule that requires your full attention and best effort. Just like athletes put bad games behind them and look to rebound at their next outing, the same applies for anyone officiating too. New games bring new opportunities and new challenges, and for the sake of the kids playing that day, they deserve your attention focused entirely on their game, not thinking about how you did or didn't perform in your last game. What's important is how you bounce back from a bad game, as Joe Borgia and Rich Rieker explain.
You still have to go in the same mindset. Today's a new day, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to do a better job. I'm going to do my best job. And again, I think it's part of, I guess we're like a relief picture, okay? You don't have time to think about it. They call you, you go in, tonight's a new night. And that's sort of how you can't worry about you blew a save the last game. You just have to have this mindset as a referee. We're starting over. I'm going to go out there and be as perfect as I can, even though I know it's not going to be perfect. Let's just hope that mistake I make's not the critical one that costs the team a game.
When umpires go out to take that lineup card every day, it's a new day. Anything that happened in the past is gone. Do you have bad games? Sure. Do you have games where you miss more pitches than other ones? Sure. I like to call it more, instead of bad, uncomfortable. Because until you get to the major league level with the strike zone measurement, we really don't know if we're missing them. A lot of it goes by crowd reaction and player reaction. Who you called out on strikes? Was this the superstar? Was this the coach's son? So a lot of that reaction is unjustified. You may get the pitch 100% right in your game and you get a lot of heat because of the situation. That doesn't mean you missed it. So if you do have a game where you feel uncomfortable and you are missing pitches and you go to your partner after the game and says, yeah, you look like you missed a few tonight, the key is, like anything in life, put it behind you, say, I learned from that situation. I need to get more reps. I need to get out there and see more pitches, maybe take some pitches in the cage during one of your kids' practice. I've never known a coach to tell an umpire no if he wants to come out for free, or she wants to come out for free and work a scrimmage or practice game, because it helps everything run better.
Striving for perfection. It's a great attitude to have no matter what you're doing. As much as every official would love to get every single call right, every single game, as you've heard, that's simply not going to happen. But that doesn't mean that shouldn't be your goal each time out. When you have the mindset that you're going to try your best to be perfect, chances are you'll perform at a higher and more efficient level because of the standard you've set for yourself, as Joe Borgia details here.
You know, you go in striving to get every call right, but realistically, you know it's a goal you can't meet at any level in any game. I've never seen a perfect game by any official in any sport. Yes, there are some games better than others. There's some nights when you're out there and things just don't feel good, or you know you're getting a lot of pushback, so to say. When you know things aren't going well, what I used to do, I was like, okay, back to the basics, back to the basics. Go to my primary area, get in the right angle. And when you stick with the fundamentals, just like in basketball, just as a player, as a referee, there's fundamentals of refereeing. You need to go back to those fundamentals, and then you can gradually start moving back out again. And that usually will get you back on track.
Okay, now that you have a clear understanding that mistakes, missed calls, and wrong decisions will happen, let's focus on what you can do to get better each time out. We're going to take a look at a half a dozen tips you can use to raise your performance level, beginning with the basic concept of learning from those mistakes, as Al Riveron explains here.
You have to have that mindset that I'm going to make a mistake. But what did I learn from that mistake? And if you come out learning something from that mistake, you've had a good game. We officiate probably in the National Football League anywhere from 150 to 160 plays. Are we going to be perfect for 160 plays? No, we're not. But if you learn from your mistakes, you've had a good game.
Along with learning from those mistakes, Riveron also points out in the following the importance of learning something every game you do.
You have to look at your mistakes. You have to look at your mistakes, and you have to be someone, number one, that has thick skin, because everyone can officiate a lot better from the stands than you can from the football field. But they won't come off the stands and come on the football field or on a basketball court or on a lacrosse field. So you've got to learn from your mistakes, and you've got to be rational enough to say, I should have tried a different approach. And if you can do that, and if you can learn one thing from every game, even after 35 years of officiating, I still learn at least one thing every game. You have to be able to say, what did I learn today? And if you do that, you'll get better every year, every game.
You know what? You can also get better from game to game by watching other games in your free time, as Ted Unkel explains.
You know, every game is different. And I don't mean like the silly stuff that, when you become a youth referee and you're taking a test and it's like, well, what happens if a dog runs onto the field and hits a ball? You know, every game is different, every tackle is different, every which way the ball bounces is different. And, experience is going to help you deal with those situations. So chances are they may not all happen in your games. So find games to watch, be it at your local club, or turn on the TV and say, I wonder how I would have handled that. And it's a great learning opportunity. So yeah, I would highly encourage people to watch as many games as they can.
Along with watching games, it's also helpful to watch yourself in action. Joe Borgia shares how having someone record you can pay dividends in your performance.
Well, to improve, you need to have a good mentor who you can bounce questions off. But the biggest way to really improve is through videotape. Obviously all the NBA games are videotaped, most college games. High schools are doing more and more, but you know what? With the iPads and all these other devices, anybody can go to a game today and videotape a referee. So if you've never been videotaped as a younger referee, get a friend, a relative, come videotape you and watch yourself. And what you want to watch is look at your court presence, look at your mannerisms. Are you standing there like this when somebody's talking to you? So you need to look at all of those things, from the way you stand to the calls you're making. And we even tell our referees, when you're watching video, it's not just about validating whether the call was right or wrong. if you got a call wrong, you need to look at your position. Okay, were you in the right position? Should you have made it a position adjustment to get a better angle? You know, is it the same play they've run 20 times and you've been out of position? You need to know a little bit about basketball. You know, if you know the pick and roll's coming, put yourself in a position to see the roller. So you really need to educate yourself, but you also need to be honest with yourself. Too many officials, I think, oh yeah, I got that right, I got that right. And if you have a good mentor who's going to be honest with you, they're going to look at you and say, no, you did.
Now, another great tool is having another person who has some officiating experience provide feedback on how you're performing, as Ted Unkel details here.
Yeah, I think a lot of this comes with experience. You know, continue to do games, and if you're lucky enough at the youth level, have an older referee on your matches or come watch you, and give you some feedback there. I think that you know, the best thing that we do, and we still do, we do it after matches is self-evaluation, right? And you know, make goals for yourself. You know, you want to be at a certain point at the field. You want to be at a certain angle on a certain play. And try to achieve those goals. And you know, if you got them that day, excellent, and build off that. And if you didn't, you know, find a way. Let's find a way how we can. And if you can do that internally, great. And if you need some help, you know, there's a lot of resources out there and a lot of people that are willing to help and give back and can help those, you know, those around along the way.
And you know what? You can soak up a lot of knowledge and insight by speaking with officials who have more experience. So aim to put yourself in position to learn from these men and women, as Joe Borgia explains.
Don't be a loner if you're official. You know, if you know, Friday night's game night all over the place and a lot of officials go to, you know, a restaurant or something afterwards, go join them, because the more you talk the craft, you might save yourself. Maybe you'll hear about a play that happened in a high school game across town tonight, and it happens to you next week. Say, ooh, I remember he talked about that, and this is what they agreed was the ruling. It might save you.
Now, for some of you, officiating at the youth level will be just the beginning. If you aspire to higher levels, Joe Borgia says it's important that you pay close attention to others who have reached where you want to go.
If you want to be an official, when you're watching basketball games, concentrate more on the officials than the coaches and the players. You know, if you want to be a point guard, concentrate on the point guard. I mean, I think that's almost in any business, any craft. So if somebody is serious and wants to move up, then you need to look at someone who's your physique. So, you know, if you're a 5'10" guy, don't be looking at a 6'10" referee, because they're going to do things a little differently, you know, as far as court presence. So find somebody who's similar to your size and find somebody who says, ooh, I like that. And then fit it to you. Don't copy someone totally, okay? But say, ooh, I like that one. Ooh, I like the way this ref did that. I like the way this ref did that. And now try to create your own, you know, image, so to say.